Hi, do you suffer from tight hamstrings? Me too. I'm going to show you an exercise. It's called the hamstring stretch and glide. That is probably one of the better hamstring stretches you can do. I'm going to make it part of a sequence. I recommend you do the same. It gives us an opportunity to compare whether we've created a change. For me, I have a thicker pad to kneel on and I have some yoga blocks nearby. You don't need that, but it can certainly be beneficial. I'll tell you in a moment why. We're going to start in a downward facing dog. In your downward facing dog, the spine is elongated. The hands press into the floor gently, the sit bones reach up, and then the heels reach down. Maybe your legs are straight or maybe they're slightly bent like mine. Your priority is keeping your spine long. Take stock of the legs, the back of the legs. Do you feel a tightness or where do you feel it? And then reach your, doesn't matter, but I'm going to reach my left leg up and step it to the front of the mat. And then you can lower the back knee down. So I'm just coming up so I can show you that the angle in my legs are 90 degrees. So that's what we want. We're going to come back down, bring the hands to the floor. Of course, you can bring yourself a little bit higher by bringing your hands on a yoga block. I'm going to leave that for now. Start by shifting backwards and forwards. As you go back, the toes stay down. As you come forward, the heel stays down. Notice my spine is quite active. I'm not collapsed down towards my leg. So for me, I'm on the tip of my fingers. 2 more. And then you're going to stay shifted back. You'll scoot that foot forward. And then this is where I'm going to use my yoga blocks to bring me a little bit higher up so I can maintain length and activity in my spine. You can see my foot. I'm going to lift my forefoot up. So for me, I already notice stretching in the back of my leg, my hamstrings. You want some tone here. The back's still active. I'm not fully straightening the knee. So the knee is slightly bent. And you just want to feel a little bit of tone in your hamstrings. So if you're not feeling anything, you can always press your heel down and pull it towards you lightly. Then we start to pivot on the heel. So rotate. It's the femur rotating in your hip socket. External rotation, internal rotation. Slow. You have 3 hamstrings. The biceps femoris, lateral, and the semitendinosus and semimembranosus, medial. As you do this movement, this external, internal rotation, same thing as medial and lateral rotation, you are promoting sliding. So we call it a fascial glide between the 2 sets of hamstrings. And then you can add insert a little twirl of the foot around, semicircle. Movement mainly of the femur in the hip socket. Try and keep your pelvis stable. Try and keep the spine long. 2 more here. And then bring the foot back in the center, so back to parallel. Scoot it back if you've shifted it forward. And then we shift forward, release, so soften through those hamstrings. Tuck the toes under the back leg, extend the back leg, and then we step back into our downward facing dog. Do you feel a difference between the 2 sides? One heel may be closer to the floor. And then a big wave forward through the spine. The heels reach back as the spine travels forward. Bend the knees, shift back. Lift the hips and a big wave-like motion forward. The next time, keep your downward facing dog. Other side, lift the right leg up, step it to the front of the mat, and lower the back knee towards the floor. 90-degree angle, back active, shifting forward and back. So mobility through the joints is the main focus here. As you go forward, you'll notice the inner foot arch drops down a little bit, so supinates, pronates on the way back, ankle dorsiflexion toward plantar flexion, knee flexion towards extension. Then we stay shifted back. The knee stays slightly back. I'm going to bring the, or maybe I won't, so you can have a full picture. My back is still active, I haven't rounded. It feels like I'm sticking, trying to stick the sit bones up to the ceiling. Scoot the foot forward, lift the forefoot up. There's a little bit of tone in my hamstrings called isometric contraction. So the heel presses down and pull towards, for me a 2 out of 10, for you maybe a 6 out of 10. And then you do the motion slow. So how to promote this movement freedom, this glide, where you want to give the tissue time to slide relative to one another. So when we want a remote glide, the movement is slow and we're not at end range. So you're not straightening the knee. And then you start to add in the foot semicircle, so that's changing the stretch tension. Behind the knee you have the gastrocnemius, one of your calf muscles, interacting with the hamstrings, so you're also promoting glide in that portion of the leg. Still the back is active. To me it feels like I'm arching my back. Of course I'm not. 2 more. And when you've done the last one, you can bring the foot down, scoot it back. We shift forward. Where you were stretching, you were squeezing fluid out. As you come forward, you're bringing fluid back into that area. So it's important to complement it with this. And then from here, hands down, step back into a downward facing dog. Sense how that feels through the back of the legs. A big wave forward, coming out into plank. Of course, let's give you a different option. You can bring the knees down, shift back. A small wave forward, so rather than the big wave, you can also do this one. Now you might feel, one, that your knees are not comfortable in that position, or that you feel a little bit compressed, or maybe you can't get your spine in a good position there. So we can always adapt an exercise. I'm going to show you 2 examples. Or maybe you're outside running and you don't want to kneel on gravel. So just find a spot where you can elevate that leg a little bit. So you can put it all the way forward here. My spine is upright. I tilt forward ever so slightly, just so I feel that pull of my hamstrings at the top. And then it's the same thing. I don't want to have my knee straight, slightly bent. I pivot on the heel. And then you can add the foot circle there as well. Coming back up. I'm going to do the other side. So find something higher. Maybe you're running and there's a, I don't know, fence or something, or it could be a chair if you're working. So start upright. Little tip forward, make sure the knee is slightly bent. I'm feeling some tone through the back of my leg. When I'm standing, I just want to feel that my hips are level, there's no shifting out to the side, and then same thing. Internal, external rotation, and after a while, adding the foot circle. The complementing exercise here, if I remove my foot, there could be a roll down, or my personal favorite, if it's not too low, having your hands on that surface, finding length through the back, through the spine, curl into a standing cat, and then elongate the spine into a centered alignment. And then of course swap over and do the other side. And that's it. I hope your hamstrings are feeling well lubricated after that. Do leave me feedback.